you break a log like that?
Don't know. Never been attacked by tree.
Hello friends, my name is Stevie Cade and welcome to Film Trigger. Join me as I embark on my journey to review all the Karate Kid movies. I decided to do this because, watching Cobra Kai, it's been making me want to watch Karate Kid. I have a vague memory of the second movie, and I don't think I've ever seen the third one, to be honest with you. Oh, fuck, I'll probably end up doing the next Karate Kid and then the reboot after that. Anyway, before we get started, if you could, head down to that thumbs up like button and the little bell ding thing and tell it to go fuck itself. Okay, without further ado, let's dive into my review for The Karate Kid 2.
Karate Kid Part 2.
Alright, this one's a little different. If you remember my review for the first Karate Kid, I liked it, I gave it a B-, but I was kind of bored with it and it just didn't really hold my attention. This one, on the other hand, kept my attention pretty much the entire time. So with that being said, let's dive immediately into what I like about this movie. The telling of Mr. Miyagi's story. That was something the first movie was completely missing. They would hint at this, hint at that, but they never really dove into Mr. Miyagi's story. This one dives all into Mr. Miyagi's story. It's 100% in. It's all Mr. Miyagi, and really Danny just happens to be there. But they start this movie off with kind of a highlight reel of the previous movie, which is good because it seamlessly goes from one movie to the next. Then it adds this little sequence where Mr. Miyagi takes out freaking Kreese from Cobra Kai. Totally whoops his ass. I have a suspicion that this was the original ending to The Karate Kid, but they chose not to put it in because it was probably too dramatic after the tournament, which I kind of wish it was, because it would have closed that Cobra Kai story a little bit, would have added to the narrative that the true bully was Kreese, not the kids acting like kids, But either way, it kind of wraps that up at the beginning of this one. Cool. Shows Mr. Miyagi's a badass. Cool. Now we can move forward with Mr. Miyagi's story. Cool. This being Mr. Miyagi's story, it's so much more interesting, so much more deeply rooted into karate mythology and what have you. It's better than just that whole high school drama, kids fighting each other because they like the girl. Kind of doesn't really give a shit about either one of the dudes. She's just kind of being a girl. Nothing special. Yeah, hear that, Allie? Nothing special about you. But this movie feels more like a Karate Kid movie. The whole Karate Kid concept makes more sense here than it did in the previous. Before, the first movie just seemed like old Karate Guy movie instead of Karate Kid. Daniel is being put in a position to absorb Mr. Miyagi's culture, his history, and being enriched by it. That, to me, makes the Karate Kid more potent. There's more at stake in this movie. One of my complaints about the previous film was the tournament, there wasn't much at stake. They're just wanting to whoop Daniel's ass because this movie ends with a literal death match. Okay, there's a lot at stake, your fucking life. And one of the main antagonists, Chozen, his cowardness was exposed. He has something to want to fight Daniel over.
In Okinawa, I'm very serious.
Your sensei teach you how to fight with spear?
Which brings me to all the antagonists, Sato, Chozen, and all of his little goons. These guys feel like a real threat, not just to Daniel, not just to Mr. Miyagi, but to the entire village. Sato is a very rich and powerful person, and Chozen is hiding behind this power. They're all hiding behind the power, honestly. But not only are Sato and Chozen and all these little goons, not only are they the bad guys, they hide behind power and want to take out Mr. Miyagi, and Daniel's guilty by association, but they're also taking advantage of all their villagers. But what makes this dynamic between Sato and Miyagi and Chozen and Daniel is that they're all students of the Miyagi-Do, which is a very interesting concept because it kind of shows it's almost like Star Wars, the dark side and the Force, they're all kind of the same thing, but when you go too far one way or another, it gets kind of weird. But it really holds true to what Mr. Miyagi's integrity is in this movie. Everything he does is selfless. He is choosing to do right for his village. It doesn't matter if he lives or dies. All he wants is the best for where he came from and the people that live in the village that are good people, that are just there, innocent bystanders of this entire situation. Even the fact that Mr. Miyagi went back because his father was dying. He went back to Okinawa, knowing that he was potentially facing death, knowing that he dishonored his best friend. He still showed up because it's the right thing. Mr. Miyagi, he's freaking badass. The last movie hinted at it. This movie proved it.
Never put passion before principle. Even if win, you lose.
And another thing that I do really enjoy about this movie is the relationship between Daniel and Kumiko. This is a true blossoming relationship. Unlike you, Allie, Yasi, but I believe this one. This one's genuine. Like, they genuinely, like, care about each other. And, like, man, I just can't wait to see her in the third movie. Moving right along with some things that I'm on the fence about when it comes to this film. Okay, even though I like Kumiko, Allie was written out in a very just like dismissive, poor way. Oh, Allie? No, she liked this this football star from this other team or whatever. Okay, well, fuck the entire first movie then, right? Because that was like the whole point. She was just written out so abruptly. They probably decided to go a different direction than they originally intended, or they weren't planning to do a second movie or whatever, but they kind of did the whole Back to the Future treatment where they just kind of found a reason to just get rid of her real quick, you know what I mean? It really paved the way for Kumiko to come in and take that place, that love interest sort of place, and I liked this love interest a lot better anyhow. But I'm just saying, it was a lazy writing to get Allie out of there so quickly. Another thing I'm on the fence about, and this isn't really critiquing the movie, or is it? I don't know. Why is everyone speaking English? Everyone is speaking English. There's no reason for everyone to speak English. I get it. It's an American movie. We need to understand what they're saying. Awesome. But, like, they're speaking English to each other when there's no Americans around. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't like reading subtitles just as much as anyone else, but for me to believe that we're in Okinawa, maybe throw a few subtitles in here and there just to remind me, oh yeah, I'm out of my element in this movie. All right, another thing I'm on the fence about when it comes to this movie is there should have been a point in time, realistically speaking, I know it's a movie, but realistically speaking, there should have been a point in time when Mr. Miyagi is like, okay, you know what? Daniel, you're going home. This is a little too much for you right now. I mean, like, seriously, Daniel's literally fighting the battle to the death by the end of this movie. He's a high school kid. You know, he just learned karate like a month ago. Let's pump the brakes, Mr. Miyagi. Let's get Daniel out of here. He's a little over his head, potentially. I know, he ends up winning because Daniel's the karate kid. The point is like, Mr. Miyagi's quite negligent in the handling of Daniel's well-being, in my opinion. Moving right along with what I don't like about this movie. The movie completely dismisses Mr. Miyagi's dead wife and dead child. Like, they're not mentioned, barely, kinda. I can't remember. But, like, if they are mentioned, it's just, like, under the rug. And then the love story with Yoki, God, that was so forced. I did not buy that love story at all. It just completely dismisses that very heartfelt scene in the first movie where Mr. Miyagi's like getting drunk and like looking at pictures of his wife and has the newspaper clippings and all this stuff. What a missed opportunity to dive more deep into that. Why couldn't the person that was supposed to have the arranged marriage with Sato be Mr. Miyagi's wife, who did pass away? That would have made this story much more rich. Not just the fact that Mr. Miyagi ran away with her and completely dishonored his best friend, but now he couldn't even take care of her. She died while in his care. Like, this could have been impactful. Yoki didn't even need to be in this movie. Or that could have been like her sister. I don't know. But the fact that Mr. Miyagi has this love story and he even tells her at one point in time, I should have taken you with me. Okay, well, fuck your wife then, Mr. Miyagi. Apparently he didn't love her at all. That's what it seems like. It just completely dismisses that really impactful scene from the first movie. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. Not even a little bit. And a little petty point that I'm going to tack on to what I don't like here. Okay, this is a town of people that live on the ocean, right? Or, you know, on land next to the ocean. When this storm comes through, it's like nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. I mean, thank God Mr. Miyagi and Daniel was there because, I mean, this girl's ringing the bell, but she doesn't know how to get down from the bell tower, and then nobody's listening to the bell anyway because they're all just, like, meandering about doing God knows what. Like, this is a storm. You guys have a bunker for this. Do you even know how to storm? Like, honestly, overall, this movie is, like, what I think of as a Karate Kid movie. Kept my attention from beginning to end. It's very rich in its storytelling. It dove deeper into Mr. Miyagi's mythology, plucked Daniel out of America, took him into a different culture where he was able to learn more about himself, karate, Mr. Miyagi, and really, honestly, just grew as a person way more than he ever did in that first movie. Couple problems with this movie. Mr. Miyagi's wife completely dismissed. I can't forgive it for that. But overall, this movie was so good, and for all these reasons, I'm giving this movie a solid A.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
There you have it, my review for The Karate Kid 2. Let me know what your thoughts were in this movie. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you prefer, the first one? Was it more nostalgic for you? Why do you prefer the first one, or why do you prefer this one? Let me know all that in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos, and as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.
No more tournaments. No more cheering crowds. This time, the combat is real.